They believed the desert would kill him before Rome ever could. An ocean of burning sand stretched between Arabia and the lands of Syria, empty, silent, and deadly. No army crossed it willingly. No commander chose it when safer roads existed. It was a place where mistakes were not forgiven, where water was more valuable than gold, and where entire caravans vanished without a trace. But one man looked at that impossible path and smiled. His name was Khalid ibn al-Walid, and before his enemies would learn to fear him, before empires would speak his name with caution, he would make a decision that would change history forever. He would march straight into the impossible.
Long before he faced the might of the Roman world, Khalid was born into power. He grew up in Mecca in the powerful Banu Makhzum clan, a family known not for poetry or diplomacy, but for war. From childhood, Khalid was trained not just to fight, but to command. He learned how to ride faster than most could run, how to strike before an opponent even realized danger was near, and how to stay calm while others panicked. But what truly set him apart was not strength, it was vision. While others saw battles as chaos, Khalid saw patterns. He could read movement like a language. He could predict decisions before they were made, and when the moment came, he struck with precision that seemed almost unnatural. Ironically, in his early life, Khalid stood against the very force he would later lead. When the message of Islam began to spread under the leadership of Prophet Muhammad, many in Mecca resisted it, including Khalid. He was not just a bystander, he was a commander. At the Battle of Uhud, Khalid demonstrated the brilliance that would later make him legendary. Watching carefully, he noticed a critical mistake in the opposing army's formation, a gap left unguarded. While others focused on the main clash, Khalid acted. He led a cavalry charge from behind. It was sudden, devastating, perfectly timed. The attack created chaos, turning the tide of the battle and proving one thing beyond doubt. Khalid was not just a warrior, he was a strategist of the highest level. But even in victory, something stayed with him. He had seen the discipline of the Muslim forces, he had seen their unity, and more importantly, he had seen their belief, a kind of conviction that could not be explained by numbers or weapons. Years passed, and the balance of power in Arabia began to shift. Khalid watched closely. He was not a man blinded by pride. He was a man who understood reality, and reality was changing. Eventually, he made the decision that would redefine his life. He accepted Islam. For many, this would have been a moment of suspicion, a former enemy suddenly becoming an ally. But Khalid was different. His reputation, his skill, and his sincerity quickly made it clear he was not just joining, he was committing. And soon his true role began to unfold. Khalid was given command in campaigns that would test even the greatest generals. Against the Persian forces in Iraq, he faced seasoned armies with years of experience and strong defensive positions. But Khalid did not fight like them. He moved fast, faster than expected, faster than understood. At the Battle of Walja, he executed a maneuver that mirrored one of the most famous strategies in history, the double envelopment. While his main force engaged the enemy, hidden units moved around the flanks. At the perfect moment, they struck from both sides, surrounding the enemy completely. It was not just a victory, it was a statement. Khalid was operating on a different level. But even as victories came, a new threat was rising in the West, the Roman Empire.
For centuries, Rome had dominated vast territories. Its armies were disciplined, organized, and backed by immense resources. Their soldiers wore heavy armor, fought in structured formations, and followed orders with absolute precision. To most, they seemed unbeatable, but to Khalid, they were simply another challenge. When Muslim forces in Syria began facing pressure from Roman armies, the situation quickly became dangerous. Multiple units were spread out, coordination was weak, and the enemy was preparing for a massive response. Reinforcements were needed, fast. Khalid was ordered to move from Iraq to Syria, a journey that most commanders would approach with caution. The safe routes were known. They had water sources, established paths, and predictable timelines. But Khalid knew something others did not. If you took the safe route, he would arrive too late. So once again, he chose the impossible. He led his army across the Syrian desert. It was a decision that shocked even his own men. The desert was not just difficult, it was deadly. There were no rivers, no shade, no second chances. But Khalid planned everything. Water was rationed with extreme discipline. Camels were used as living storage, providing emergency hydration when needed. The army moved at night, guided by the stars, avoiding the brutal heat of the day. Every step was calculated, every risk understood. Days turned into nights. The silence of the desert stretched endlessly. Fatigue pushed men to their limits, but Khalid never hesitated. And then, suddenly, they arrived. Not from the expected roads, not from the visible paths, but from the heart of the desert itself. To the Roman forces, it was shocking. Reinforcements had appeared where none should exist. It was as if the land itself had delivered them. Morale shifted instantly. Muslim forces, once under pressure, now stood united under one commander. Khalid reorganized them quickly, bringing structure, clarity, and coordination. And then came the moment that would define everything: the Battle of Yarmouk. The Roman army was massive, far larger in number, heavily equipped, and confident in its strength. Their commanders believed victory was only a matter of time. Khalid thought differently. He knew he could not defeat them by fighting the way they expected, so he changed the battlefield entirely. Instead of rigid formations, he created flexible units, lines that could bend without breaking, cavalry that could move rapidly and strike precisely. At the center of his strategy was mobility. The battle began with intensity. Roman infantry advanced in disciplined lines, pushing forward with force. Their shields formed walls. Their coordination was precise. At times, Khalid's forces were pushed back, but that was part of the plan. Instead of resisting with rigidity, they absorbed the pressure. They adapted, they moved, and then Khalid struck. His cavalry, the mobile guard, launched coordinated attacks not as a single charge, but in waves. They targeted weak points, disrupted formations, and created confusion where there had once been order. The Roman cavalry attempted to respond, but Khalid was faster, always faster. Days of battle followed. Each side fought with determination, but slowly the balance began to shift. Khalid observed everything, and then he saw it. The Roman army had positioned itself near deep ravines, natural barriers that limited movement. It was meant to protect their flanks, but it also limited their escape. Khalid launched his final assault. Infantry engaged the front, holding the Roman forces in place. At the same time, his cavalry swept around, striking from the sides and rear. The Roman lines began to break, and once they did, there was no recovery. Panic spread, formation collapsed, soldiers tried to retreat, but the terrain trapped them. What had been a structured army became chaos, and Khalid did not stop. He pushed forward relentlessly, ensuring that the enemy could not regroup. By the end, the battlefield belonged to him. The victory at Yarmouk was not just another win, It was a turning point in history. The Roman grip on Syria weakened, cities began to fall, the balance of power shifted, and across the region, one name began to spread: Khalid ibn al-Walid. Even his enemies respected him. Roman commanders, who had faced countless generals, recognized something different. Khalid did not follow predictable patterns. He adapted constantly. He saw opportunities others missed. He did not just fight battles, he controlled them. Yet, despite all of this, Khalid remained grounded. He did not chase fame. He did not build monuments to himself. His focus was always on purpose, on duty, on leadership, on the mission ahead. And perhaps the most surprising part of his story is how it ended. After countless battles, after facing the greatest armies of his time, after surviving situations that should have been impossible, Khalid did not die on the battlefield. He died in his bed. It was something that puzzled many. A man who had lived in war, who had faced death again and again, did not fall in combat. He once reflected on this. His body, he said, was covered in scars. There was not a place untouched by swords, arrows, or spears. And yet, he would die like an ordinary man. To some, it was ironic. To others, it was a reminder that greatness is not defined by how a man dies, but by how he lives, how he leads, and what he leaves behind. The story of Khalid is not just about war. It is about decisions. The decision to change when truth became clear. The decision to take risks when others chose safety. The decision to think differently, to see what others could not. And in doing so, he did something remarkable. He changed history. Somewhere across the silent desert he once crossed, the wind still moves, and if you listen closely, you might hear the echo of hooves, the rhythm of an army, and the story of a man who faced empires and refused to lose.